The air in the graveyard is cold with the magic of old death and new life. Tom Riddle's stone is cold. The marble angel is cold. Harry Potter's blood, warm on the blade that resurrected his enemy, is the only hot thing in this dead place. Lord Voldemort stands before him, newly fleshed, his red eyes drinking in the sight of the boy who was meant to be his end. He raises the yew wand. The Death Eaters stir, hungry for the familiar green light, for the conclusion of a story 17 years in the telling. But the light does not come, the words are not spoken. Instead, Voldemort lowers his wand. A slow, thoughtful gesture. He looks at Harry, truly looks at him, not as a prophecy or a symbol, but as a structure. A boy held together by love, by loyalty, by the story Dumbledore has woven around him. And in that moment, the point of divergence arrives not with a crack of displaced air, but as a quiet, terrible thought inside the Dark Lord's mind. Blasting a structure apart is crude. It is loud, it leaves rubble that others can rebuild into a monument, but to dismantle a structure, piece by piece, until it collapses under its own weight. That is art, that is power. He had been so focused on the magic of the soul, on its tearing and its preservation, that he had forgotten the magic of the mind. He had obsessed over the unforgivable curses, the magic of domination, and forgotten the quieter, deeper magic of persuasion, the spells that do not break a person, but rewrite them. He lets Harry go. He cuts the bonds, tells Wormtail to return the boy's wand, and watches as Harry scrambles for the portkey, for Cedric's body, for the escape he is being handed. The Death Eaters are silent, confused. Lucius Malfoy takes a half-step forward, his face a mask of disbelief. Voldemort turns to him, and his voice is softer than any of them have ever heard it. Patience, Lucius. We have been chasing a ghost. It is time we learn to haunt. The first haunting is a small one. It does not touch Harry Potter at all. It touches Cornelius Fudge, a man already halfway to being a ghost, his substance eroded by years of compromise and comfort. Voldemort does not need to place him under the Imperious Curse. That is a hammer for a task that requires a scalpel. He needs only to find the memory of Fudge's last conversation with Albus Dumbledore. It is a simple thing, stored carelessly behind the minister's fearful eyes. He finds the thread of it, the moment Dumbledore warned him, his voice grave, his plea for caution and unity. Voldemort does not erase it. Obliviation is for amateurs. Instead, he uses a piece of magic so ancient and subtle it has no formal name, a spell that lives in the dark family libraries of houses like Black and Gaunt. Let us call it Amnis Memoriae, the river of memory. It allows a wizard not to dam the river, but to redirect its flow. He does not change what Dumbledore said. He changes how Fudge remembers it. The gravity in Dumbledore's voice is now remembered as arrogance. The plea for unity is recalled as a demand for power. The old wizard's concern for Harry Potter is twisted into a possessive, almost fanatical obsession. He adds nothing new. He simply adjusts the emotional hue of the recollection. When Cornelius Fudge awakens the next morning, he feels a profound and righteous certainty. Dumbledore is not just mistaken, he is a threat, he is unstable, and that boy is his weapon. The campaign against them begins not as a political necessity to preserve order, but as a moral crusade to save the wizarding world from a dangerous old man and his disturbed protégé. The Daily Prophet's headlines are not just lies, they are believed deeply and truly by the people writing them. Dolores Umbridge arrives at Hogwarts not merely as an inquisitor, but as a saviour, armed with the unshakable conviction that she is rooting out a sickness. Harry's isolation that year is absolute. In the other life, there were whispers of doubt, people who secretly believed him. In this one, the memory spell has done its work. The world has been inoculated against the truth. When Harry speaks of the graveyard, of Cedric's death, of Voldemort's return, they see only the ravings of a boy manipulated by a power-hungry headmaster. They see the symptom of Dumbledore's madness. His frustration turns to rage. His insistence on the truth sounds, to everyone else, like the shrill panic of a deeply unwell child. He is not a hero. He is not a liar. He is simply a tragedy. And tragedies are to be pitied, then ignored. Dumbledore watches him, his own power waning as the world he sought to protect turns on him, and he understands, with a cold dread, that they are not fighting a war of wands. They are fighting a war of stories, and theirs is being unwritten. Sentence by sentence, the ancient house of Black at number 12, Grimmauld Place becomes their sanctuary, or it is meant to. In the world that was, it was a gloomy, dust-choked place, but a haven nonetheless, a home of a sort. But Voldemort has unlearned his disdain for such things. He understands now that love is not the only magic that can saturate the walls of a house. Despair can do it too. He cannot breach the Fidelius charm, a magic too bound up in the loyalty he is only just beginning to comprehend. But he does not need to. The house is already dark. He needs only to give its darkness a voice. He sends no one. He goes himself, a shadow in the London night, and stands across the square, looking at the space between numbers 11 and 13. He cannot see the house, but he can feel it. He can feel the centuries of pure blood madness, of misery and regret seeping from its foundations. And he whispers a curse, another piece of forgotten lore, a thing of slow decay rather than sudden violence. Locus inanimus, the soulless place. It is not a curse of destruction, it is a curse of subtraction. It leeches the warmth from a place, the sense of safety, the very idea of home. It does not break a sanctuary, it makes the sanctuary a prison. The change inside is subtle at first. The chill in the air is a little deeper. The shadows in the corners seem to stretch and writhe when no one is looking. The portrait of Walburga Black is not just shrieking insults. Her painted eyes seem to follow them with a cold, calculating intelligence. Her madness is no longer contained within the canvas. It has begun to bleed into the wallpaper, into the plumbing, into the very dust motes dancing in the slivers of weak sunlight. For Sirius Black, the house becomes a waking nightmare. He is already a prisoner, trapped by his own innocence, but now the walls that are meant to protect him begin to whisper to him in the language of Azkaban. The gloom is no longer just the absence of light. It is an active presence, pressing in on him. He hears the rustle of dementors in the draught under the door. He catches the scent of his own despair, the smell of the island prison clinging to the ancient tapestries. The house remembers his family's cruelty, and it uses those memories against him. It shows him his brother Regulus's face in the dark mirrors, pale and afraid. It whispers his mother's worst insults in his ear as he tries to sleep. It amplifies his every fear, his every resentment, his anger at being sidelined, his jealousy of Snape's freedom, his desperate, clawing need to be part of the fight. These feelings are no longer his own. They are fed by the house. They are nurtured by the curse. He becomes volatile, reckless. His arguments with Molly Weasley are no longer about his fitness to be a guardian. They are bitter, vicious things that leave the kitchen silent and cold for hours afterward. He snaps at the children, at Ron and Hermione, his words sharper than they should be. He looks at Harry and sees not just his best friend's son, but a constant, painful reminder of everything he has lost, a reason he is trapped in this suffocating tomb. The Order of the Phoenix feels it too. Meetings in the kitchen are fraught with a tension that has no source. Trust erodes, small disagreements become gaping fissures. Remus Lupin, ever sensitive to the emotional currents of a room, feels the house's oppressive misery like a physical weight on his shoulders, compounding the exhaustion of the approaching full moon. Snape's visits are worse than ever, the house's malevolence seeming to delight in his presence, making his sneers more potent, his presence more poisonous. The domestic, which should have been their shield, has been turned into a weapon against them. Making tea, mending socks, sharing a meal, These small acts of defiant normalcy become impossible. The tea is always cold, the food tastes of ash. The quiet companionship they need to survive the coming darkness is stolen from them, replaced by suspicion and a bone-deep weariness. Harry feels it most of all. He came to Grimmauld Place hoping for a family, for a home. Instead, he has found another cupboard under the stairs, only this one is furnished with the ghosts of his godfather's pain. He retreats into himself, the house confirming what the wider world is already telling him. He is alone. He is a burden, and there is no safe place left for him in the world. Voldemort turns his attention inward, to his own followers. He looks at the Death Eaters, at the collection of bullies and aristocrats and broken things he has gathered, and sees them for what they are, a liability. They follow him out of fear. They follow him for power. But fear is a brittle bond, and ambition is a treacherous one. Lucius is already compromised. Bellatrix's devotion is a form of madness, useful but uncontrollable. The rest are weak, self-serving, and would abandon him again if he showed the slightest sign of failure. He needs not servants, but disciples. He disdains the magic of love, but the magic of loyalty. Loyalty is a tool, a weapon. He thinks of the house elves, of their unbreakable, unthinking bonds. A slave's magic, he once thought. But what if it could be refined? What if that bond could be woven not into a creature born for servitude, but into the soul of a witch or wizard? He finds the answer in the same dark corner of magical theory that gave him the memory spell and the curse of place. It is a ritual, not a single spell. A piece of soul magic that does not split the soul, but tethers it. Fidelitas nexa. The bound loyalty. It does not command, like the imperious. It convinces. It rewires the very foundation of a person's being, replacing their own self-interest with the master's. It creates a love that is terrifying in its purity, a devotion that cannot be broken because the subject no longer has a self to break. He summons his inner circle, not to a meeting, but to a ceremony. One by one, they kneel before him. He does not demand their vows. He takes them. He performs the ritual on Bellatrix first. The change is horrifying. Her frenzied, chaotic madness does not vanish. It is forged into something sharp and focused. Her love for him, once a hysterical obsession, becomes a serene, unshakable faith. She looks at him with the calm, clear eyes of a true believer, and her every action, from that moment on, is precise, efficient, and utterly ruthless. He moves to Lucius Malfoy. He burns the ambition and fear out of the man, leaving only a hollowed-out vessel for his own will. Lucius no longer schemes for his family's advancement. He lives and breathes only for the advancement of the Dark Lord's cause. He becomes a more effective agent than ever before, his political manoeuvring no longer tainted by personal greed. The new Death Eaters are an army of fanatics. They do not need to be threatened. They do not need to be rewarded. They serve because serving is the core of their new being. Their loyalty is his, as fundamental to them as breathing. But the true genius of the spell is not in how he uses it on his followers, but how he learns to adapt it for his enemies. He cannot perform the full ritual on an unwilling subject, but he can weave a lesser, more insidious version, a thread of it. He finds the perfect target, Percy Weasley. Percy is already estranged from his family, his ambition a raw, open wound. Voldemort, through intermediaries like Lucius, does not recruit him. He validates him. He offers Percy the world he craves, a world of order, of rules, of clear hierarchies, where competence is rewarded. He nurtures Percy's resentment, his belief that his family's chaotic, emotional way of life is holding the wizarding world back. Then he weaves the thread. It is not a bond of love, it is a bond of ideology. Percy is not made to love the Dark Lord. He is made to believe, with every fibre of his being, in the righteousness of his cause. He becomes an ideologue. He returns to the Burrow for Christmas that year, not as a prodigal son, but as a missionary. He sits at the dinner table, a stranger in his own home. He does not shout, he does not argue. He speaks calmly, rationally, about the need for a stronger ministry, for the regulation of Muggle-borns for the sake of societal stability, for the benefits of a new, more disciplined order. He speaks with a chilling sincerity that is far more frightening than any curse. He is not under the imperious. He is not being controlled. He believes what he is saying. He looks at his father, at his mother, at his siblings, and he feels not anger, but a profound pity. He is trying to save them. And the Weasleys, for the first time, have an enemy they cannot fight, because he wears their son's face and speaks with their son's voice, and they do not know how to love him and hate his ideas at the same time. The poison has entered the bloodstream of the rebellion, and it came through the front door with a plate of mince pies. The final act is the unmaking of the hero. Voldemort understands now that Harry Potter's power is not in his scar, or his wand, or even in the lingering protection of his mother's love. It is in his story, the boy who lived, the chosen one. As long as people believe in that story, Harry is invincible. A martyr's death would only cement the legend, turning him into a symbol that would fuel resistance for generations. So, the symbol must be destroyed, while the boy still lives. Voldemort has twisted memory, soured place, and perverted loyalty. Now, he will poison the narrative itself. He creates the last spell he will ever need, a curse on the very idea of truth. Imago Fracta, the broken image. It is a form of societal confundus charm, a plague of doubt whispered on the wind. It has no single source, no clear vector. It works through the natural channels of human fear and suspicion. It does not tell lies. It encourages the worst possible interpretation of the truth. The whispers begin. They are small at first. In the leaky cauldron, a wizard mutters to his friend, over a pint of butterbeer, that it was strange, wasn't it, how Harry Potter was the only one to come back from that graveyard? Strange how he was always at the centre of these terrible events. In a shop in Diagon Alley, a witch wonders aloud if Dumbledore's interest in the boy is entirely healthy. After all, the old man has always been eccentric. The spell works by making these thoughts feel organic, like a conclusion one has reached on one's own. It preys on the public's exhaustion. They are tired of war, tired of fear. It is so much easier to believe that the problem is not a resurrected Dark Lord, but a troubled attention-seeking boy. The Daily Prophet, already primed by Fudge's rewritten memories, becomes the curse's most powerful amplifier. Rita Skeeter's articles are no longer just sensationalist gossip. They are read as brave, investigative journalism, uncovering the uncomfortable truth. She writes about Harry's outbursts of anger, painting them not as the trauma response of a child soldier, but as evidence of a dangerous instability. She hints at a darkness in him, a connection to Voldemort that is more than just a scar. She suggests that his survival was not a miracle, but a transaction. What did he promise the Dark Lord in that graveyard? To be allowed to escape? The question hangs in the air, unanswered and unanswerable, and it is devastating. Harry's heroism is hollowed out. His allies at the ministry are silenced. His friends at school are forced to defend him against a tide of quiet, insidious doubt. When he forms Dumbledore's army, it is seen not as an act of noble defiance, but as the formation of a personality cult, with a dangerously unstable boy at its centre. He walks the halls of Hogwarts and feels the shift. The stares are no longer looks of awe or sympathy. They are looks of suspicion, of pity, of fear. He is no longer a champion. He is a pariah. The weight of it is immense. How do you fight a rumour? How do you duel with a feeling? His every denial only seems to prove their point. His anger makes him look unstable. His insistence on the truth makes him sound obsessed. He is trapped inside a story that someone else is writing for him, and every move he makes only serves to advance their plot. The love that protected him, the love of the wizarding world for its boy saviour, has been curdled into a wary distrust. He is utterly, completely alone, stranded on an island of truth in an ocean of lies, and the tide is rising. Dumbledore tries to fight it, but his own reputation has been so thoroughly dismantled that his words have lost their power. He is the mad old man, and Harry is his broken puppet. The story is complete. The hero has been unmade. The end does not come in a blaze of glory at a besieged castle, surrounded by the bodies of friends. There is no great battle for Hogwarts. There is no need. The war was won months before, not with killing curses, but with whispers. The ministry has fallen, not in a coup, but in a quiet, orderly transition of power. The public, tired of the chaos and uncertainty represented by Dumbledore and his unstable protégé, accepts the new regime's promises of order and security with a sigh of relief. There is no widespread resistance because there is no one left to rally around. The symbol of hope has been successfully tarnished into a symbol of strife. Harry is in hiding, but he is not being hunted. He is simply irrelevant. He is a footnote in the story of Lord Voldemort's peaceful, efficient rise to power. Dumbledore is gone, killed not by a curse atop the astronomy tower, but by a quiet, wasting sickness in his office, his heart finally giving out under the weight of a world he could no longer convince. The final confrontation happens in Godric's Hollow. Harry has returned to his parents' graves, the last place he felt any connection to the story of his own life. It is winter. The snow is falling, muffling the world in a blanket of white. Voldemort appears not with a crack, but as if he has simply stepped out of the falling snow, silent and inevitable. He is not flanked by Death Eaters. He is alone. He does not look triumphant. He looks serene. He does not raise his wand. Harry draws his hand trembling, but he knows it is useless. The Elder Wand is in Voldemort's possession, one from Dumbledore's tomb, but he does not hold it. He does not need to. "You have been waiting for me to kill you," Voldemort says, his voice a quiet rasp in the cold air. "You have been preparing for it your entire life. It is the story you have been told, the hero's sacrifice." He takes a step closer. The snow crunches under his feet. "But I have written a different story, one where the hero is not killed. He is simply forgotten." He gestures to the village, to the silent shuttered houses. "They do not believe in you anymore, Harry. They do not believe in anything. They just want peace. I have given it to them." The world did not need to be conquered. It only needed to be convinced that the fight was not worth the trouble. Harry stands there, over the graves of the people who died for him, and he understands the totality of his defeat. He has been disarmed more completely than if his wand had been snapped in two. His courage is meaningless without a cause. His love is an island in a world that has chosen fear. Voldemort has not destroyed the things he values. He has made them irrelevant. "I could kill you now," Voldemort continues, his red eyes holding no hatred, only a distant, academic curiosity. "A simple curse. It would be an ending, but it would be your ending, not mine. My story requires you to live in the world I have made, and to see your legend fade into a cautionary tale told to children about a boy who brought chaos and strife because he could not accept the necessity of order." He turns, his black robes sweeping over the snow. "Live a long life, Harry Potter. It is the worst punishment I can devise." He vanishes as quietly as he arrived, leaving Harry alone in the falling snow. The name on his parents' headstone, a monument to a story that no one believes anymore. The world is not burned. It is not enslaved. It is merely managed. The price was not blood. It was truth. It was hope. It was the story of a boy who lived, and the magic that let him. The air in the graveyard is cold. Lord Voldemort stands over the bound form of Harry Potter, the U-wand humming in his hand. He sees the boy's defiance, the echo of Lily's love in his eyes, the impossible, stubborn spark of hope. In one world he sees this as an obstacle, a thing to be extinguished with overwhelming force. He raises his wand and prepares to speak the words that have defined his life, his quest for power distilled into 2 syllables of absolute negation. But in another world, a different thought takes root. He looks at the boy, at the story holding him upright, and he understands. He understands that a story cannot be killed, it can only be replaced. He lowers his wand, a slow, thoughtful gesture, a strange and terrible smile touching his lips. He has spent 17 years hunting a teenager. He has spent his life chasing a crude and limited understanding of power. But in this moment, in this cold and quiet graveyard, he has finally realized that the most powerful magic in the world is not the spell that ends a life. It is the spell that rewrites one. And he knows with a certainty that chills him more than any Horcrux ever could, that he is about to become a master of the art. This has been What If? Thank you for joining us in the alternate histories of the worlds we love.